And we are live. Welcome everyone tuning in to the hashtag Stories of Healing podcast, episode 9. The focus of the podcast is to share a story and dive into the healing process within that challenging time in life. The story could be about pain, struggle, anxiety, depression, a heartbreak, loss of employment, trauma, or any specific challenge that brought a tough experience to overcome. Stories of Healing is here to inspire, motivate, help others lift and rise up through their past or present struggles by listening in and connecting with a special guest who tunes into sharing their story of healing and how they overcame their battle. What was their healing process? That being said, good evening. Welcome everyone. After surviving a heavy amount of childhood trauma experiences and defeating his battle with Crohn's disease, he recently reached 1.4 million views on TikTok for his latest single, Sharpshooter, which recently grasped the attention of Grammy Award-winning artist Lecrae and many more. What was once an open suicide letter to his mother is now helping to fulfill his life mission. Now, he strives to focus on healing nations and countries worldwide through his music and sharing his testimonies full-time, while working behind the scenes for many brands and influencers through marketing, branding, and graphic design. Incredible, amazing. Tonight's special guest, Xandre. Welcome, brother. How are you doing tonight?
Thank you, bro. I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you for coming on tonight. Super grateful. It's just a blessing, man, to be here in this presence once again. Once again, we're back in action, and I believe it's going to be an incredible time.
Yeah, so I mean, for those that don't know what happened, literally yesterday we were about to do this, and it was a crazy storm on both ends. I think it was like snowing out here in New York, and then it's snowing over there in Canada, and things just started didn't work out. So here we are with part 2. We're about to get into it.
Yeah, part 2, and you know what? If there's anything going on, even though we were praying, but we'll go to part 10 if we have to. This story needs to get out.
That's what I'm saying.
So thank you everyone tuning in. Xandre, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from. You said you were from New York.
Yeah, so I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I am a part-time branding, marketing, strategy, content coach. And I do that part-time until I'm able to do music full-time. And I'm a recording artist, so yeah, that part.
Amazing, man. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you for sharing that. And like for your song to hit that many views, and with such an inspiring message, that's incredible. Super stoked for you. And what the community in the world is going to bring towards with that, and how you're going to help change lives through that song and through your music.
Yeah, bro. Can't wait.
All right, man. Well, it's time to share a story of healing. And let's get into it. You must be ready. You must be ready.
Let's go. I'll do 10 parts to this. I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, man. So what is your story of which brought you a life challenge or struggle?
All right. So, before all the accolades happened, I had to go through a lot. The story starts off very dark, really fast. But I promise you there's light at the end of the tunnel because I'm here. So, all right. So at age 9, I was molested by my cousins, and that was the first time I was ever introduced to what the concept of love could be. So fast forward now, we're talking about age 11. I had a friend named Lamar. He was my best friend. He was like the older brother I never had, and we lived in the same apartment building. And so just to paint the picture with you, me and Lamar, we used to just like play video games, wrestle, watch wrestling together, all that good stuff. So he ended up moving, and he ended up moving somewhere else. So about maybe a month or two goes by, Lamar randomly comes to see me, and I remember just not being. I don't remember where I was. I wasn't home, and so at this time we didn't have cell phones the way we have it now. So it was just like dial up, AOL, AIM, and all that stuff. So my mom gave him the house phone number to call me whenever he wants to come by, so he could just let me know, like, when he wants to meet me again, whatever. So I asked my mom, like, how's Lamar? How did he look? She was like, oh, he seemed okay. She didn't think nothing of it. So let's say another month goes by. Lamar's parents come by to see us, and they told us that Lamar killed himself, and that was the first time I was ever introduced to suicide. So yeah, it was a tough time. I had a lot of regret. I even blamed myself for his death. I thought I had something to do with it. So now fast forward age 12, now, I was getting ready to go to school. It was like 6 in the morning, and I just remember my mom just like sitting on the toilet, like just bawling out, crying, like just weeping and crying. She had a pill bottle in her hand, and I just was trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. I'm like, what's happening? What was about to happen? And as I was walking and rushing to her, she was about to start taking some pills. So I remember just having to fight her to not take those pills. And, it was a really tough time. So I was still, yeah, so I had to fight her not take the pills, and I still had to get ready to go to school that next day. And so I remember just going to class, and I'm just sitting there like wondering, like, man, like, God, like, when I go home, am I going to find my mom dead? And, praise God, I didn't. She got through that emotional time. But she had reintroduced me to suicide. So that's the second time I was introduced to suicide. So from now age 13 to 15, I was battling thoughts of suicide because I didn't have an outlet. I didn't know how to talk about my molestation. I didn't know how to talk about, the suicides. I didn't know how to talk about the stuff I was feeling with Lamar and all that other stuff. So I started writing poems. That was my only outlet. And I had a friend who saw my poems one day, and he said, I'm sorry to go through your stuff, but your poems don't sound like poems. They sound like music. They had a rhythm to it. And I remember just looking at it, and I'm like, okay, then that's when my music career started. That's when I considered doing music because I liked the effect that it had on people when they read it. So fast forward now, age 15, because I didn't have an outlet, because I had nobody to talk to, I had a dis-ease in my body. And I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. So Crohn's disease is a gastrointestinal disease. To put it into better terms, it's like the stomach bacteria doesn't identify the good or the bad, so it starts to digest itself and attack itself. And it causes leaky gut, so it's like little holes in your intestines. And what that felt like was having sandpaper rubbed in your stomach. It felt like I was digesting needles every time I ate. It was just so painful, like literally every single day. It was hard to breathe sometimes. It was hard to stand. So it was a very, very tough time mentally and physically. And I was also dealing with verbal abuse from my mom at this time. She was like saying a lot of hurtful stuff to me. So fast forward now, I was originally 160 pounds when I was diagnosed with the disease. So we're talking about like from age 17 to 23, I was battling extreme weight loss. So from 160 pounds within weeks, I went down to 90 pounds. And so, yeah, I remember just not being able to stand up for more than 5 seconds, man. And doctors was just like, we have to put you on mandatory bed rest because you're not safe to just be roaming outside on the streets and standing up and all that stuff. So they tried to put me on mandatory bed rest for 2 years. It was a really tough time. It was an intensive 2 years of laying down. And I just remember one afternoon, just to paint the picture, we live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I share a bunk bed with my sister. And I was on the top bunk. My mom and dad were sitting on the couch. And I remember just laying down, staring at the ceiling, and I'm just like, like, how did I get here? Like, why am I here in this position? And as my eyes were wide open, everything just started getting darker and darker. And I felt like death was there for me. And I remember just like reflecting and just like praying. And I'm like, God, I've always heard of your miracles. I've always heard of what you've done for people. But I want to see you do it for me. And I was like, if you could just do it for me, if you could just heal me from this disease, I promise you, wherever I go, I'll tell my testimony. And I ended up falling asleep later that night, not knowing if I was going to wake up. But thank God I did. And I woke up and I was telling my mom what I felt earlier. And then I told her what I was feeling now. What I was feeling at the moment felt like I had a hole in my back. I felt like I was eternally bleeding. And so we immediately went to the ER, and everything was kind of a blur at that point. I just remember seeing the surgery room. Then I remember seeing, uh, yeah, I remember seeing the surgery room, and somebody injected me with something to stop the pain. And then I woke up, and I saw 3 doctors standing in front of me, and they asked me, how are you feeling? And I said, well, I feel great. This is the first time in years I have not felt no type of pain. Like, good, we're glad to hear that. You removed 7 inches of your small intestines, and that's where the disease was tracked. Like, Terrence, if you didn't come in the night that you did, we would not be having this conversation right now. And I just remember just being in awe. And I'm like, man, God really came through. Like, regardless if I had lost 7 inches of my small intestines, I still woke up to be here. I'm still here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so things started getting pretty good at that point. I started taking medication. I started getting back my weight. I was like 130. But then, me being a regular human being, I started living a sinful life. I was fornicating. I was trying liquor, weed, just living a whole crazy life, man. And even in times where I was supposed to speak up and share my testimony, I didn't. I resisted. I felt like people were going to judge me for just the life that I was living. So yeah, so things got bad real fast. I ended up losing my health insurance. I ended up losing weight, and then I ended up also getting a rash from the medication I was taking. So with that, so now, going back to from 130 pounds to 110 pounds, it was just, I was just living to live at that point. I was just living to survive. I ended up going on an alkaline diet, just to try to, fight the natural way of living, by changing up your diet. And so yeah, it was from 23 to now, I would say 80-ish days ago. I hit my lowest about 80 days ago. I hit my lowest. I was like 80 pounds. And I just remember, asking God, like, yo, I understand I didn't keep my promise and you kept yours, but you still have me here for a reason. I'm about 27 at this point, and I'm 80 pounds. It doesn't make sense. I'm talking to doctors, and they're like scared to help me out. And I'm talking to other doctors, and they're just wondering how am I having this conversation with them? Like, how in the world are you 27 with 80 pounds and we're talking face to face? So I don't know, man. I just remember praying, and I'm just asking God, like, please make sense of this. Like, I understand I messed up, but, like, I repented for my ways. I'm trying to live a role, I'm trying to make sure that my walk is good. Yeah, so with a lot of praying, with a lot of fasting, and just trying to stay close to God throughout the whole process to just renew my mind. So yeah, I had met one doctor, and she told me, I'm gonna be real with you. We have a way that we can help you, but you can one IV for your treatment costs $10,000, and you need about 7 of them. And I was just there like, yo, I don't know how in the world I'm gonna afford $70,000 just for medication. It's not possible. And so yeah, I just remember just praying, and I'm just like, well, God, I tried. You told me to reach out to the doctor. I did, and here we are. So a lot of praying and a lot of patience in the process. We sent out the submission to the health insurance. They finally approved it. And so I'm speaking to you today at 140 pounds. So God definitely kept his promise. I'm still here, and I'm a miracle story to all the doctors that I came across. They still don't understand how this is happening. But before all those accolades, before I got 1.5 million views on TikTok, and Lecrae responding to the video, and all that good stuff, I had to learn something, and what that was forgiveness. I had to learn how to forgive my molesters. I had to learn how to forgive myself for thinking I had anything to do with Lamar's death. I had to forgive Lamar for killing himself. I had to forgive my mom for a lot of the verbal abuse that I was battling while I was still sick. To paint the picture, she would say things like, I wish you weren't alive. I regret having you. You stressed me out. And she didn't even call me by my name anymore. She started calling me this boy. So I felt like she stole my identity from me. And I had to forgive my mom for stuff like that. And to also paint the picture some more, I remember, betrayal. Like, I had a girlfriend at the time, and she left me when she found out that I was sick. I had friends that left me at the time that I was sick. And so dealing with all that with my mom, and then, even abandonment. So there was one time they left the house, I guess, because being around me, being around somebody sick is really tough to deal with. So it was making her kind of depressed. So I remember just like everybody leaving the house, and I was all alone. And I had to literally crawl to the kitchen to get something to eat. I had to forgive my mom for that, and forgive my family for that. And then I also came across, in that same day, an envelope with life insurance with my name on it. And I just felt, it just defeated me at that point. I was just like, wow, like, they literally gave up on me, didn't have the conversation. So with all that, I had to forgive, and that's the only way that once I started renewing my mind and forgiving those people for all those things and understanding that all that was happening for me and not to me, that's when I got the healing. So yeah, that's my testimony.
It's very heavy, brother. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I just want to say your story is a miracle, and it's an absolute blessing that you're here today. And you know, I'm so proud of you that you got through, and fight through, and you found your spiritual, your spiritual connection, which helped you revitalize and strengthen your immune system in your body and bounce back. And um, it's incredible what the things we can go through in our life, especially in our upbringing. And there's a lot of evil in this world, and sometimes people let that evil in and latch it on to other people, and it could be our own family, our own blood.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, like, today you're not alone. You have, God, you have people close to you who
Yeah.
support you. I support you. And yeah, I just want to say, like, take a step back, in the time when you were going through that transition, when you started, like, going in and out of the hospital, and they were working on different types of, you mentioned injections, right?
Yeah. So when you go to the ER, they don't really know what's going on, right? So they have to do a lot of
Yeah.
blood right away. They have to, yeah. So it was a lot. It was a process. So everything just happened so fast, but it wasn't fast. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason why I brought it up is I was just curious. Is there anything else that you did that to try to keep yourself healthy during that transition and that healing time? You said you were working on poetry and writing in some music, and were there other channels and tools that you used to release some of this pain during this time that you were going through?
Yeah. So I figured if I wasn't, like, to me in my head, I was like, if I'm not gonna make it, at least I want to make sure I leave an impact on somebody's life or in the world. So I served other people. That's the only thing. I served other people. So I during the time I was sick, I also worked graphic designs for a hip hop recording artist who's popular now. His name is Toby Newigwe. I did a lot of graphic designs for him during this time I was sick. I don't really want to say this because I'm not saying it for attention or anything, but
Mm-hmm.
while I was with the church, they used to go to so one of the church members had a family member in the hospital, so we would take that time to travel across the hallways in the church. I mean, in the church, in the hospital, and ask people that are sick in bed if we want to pray for them. So even while being sick, I was still speaking in faith and going up to sick people who are like worse than me. And I'll just tell them like my testimony, the same way I'm telling you. I'm like, God healed me from Crohn's disease, but at this time I still had the disease. So I was speaking it, like, into I was manifesting it basically. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I just found healing in that, like just by doing stuff like that, by serving others, it definitely helped my spirit a lot.
I find it amazing how, as human beings, connecting and connection, and even just supporting each other in our gifts and sharing talents sometimes creates healing.
Yeah,
And you giving back to the community, you giving back to others, and their opportunities, like, created fire for you. It created inspiration and motivation that you started, like working towards, and I think that's amazing. It's so cool, man. um you mentioned that you had some temptations, during some time. You had some people and some negative surroundings in your environment. As you got older, getting into your late teens, early 20s, you said you were battling with some stuff in your environment. Um, how did you avoid or embrace those surroundings in a positive way?
it's a good question. I mean, I kind of honestly had no choice but to be to myself because I didn't have any energy to do anything. I was like, I easily got tired. Like if I go up the stairs, I wasn't even fat. I was like literally skull and bones at this point, but
Wow.
I was still out of breath. So literally, like, it was a 12-year battle, but it was like 12 years of a lot of resting. Like literally most of my time was spent laying down, just watching TV or Netflix or reading my
Hmm.
Bible, or just trying to stay out of like the headspace that you're sick, you know. So I had to distract
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Thank you for sharing that. I find that, you know, sometimes reflecting and being our own self space, you know, and doing those type of things, those tools that you were working on really helps balance. It creates balance
Mhm.
because if we let ourselves fall short, if we let ourselves fall into the world and get caught up with some of those things that could really take us down that much further, it's you know, 10 times harder to get out of that rabbit hole. And you know, I find it that you have a lot of resilience, and I can tell just by listening to your voice and the passion, the fire you have, that you know, you inside you didn't want to give up. You wanted to trust in God, and you wanted to keep moving forward. You can see it in you that you were like, I just wanted to keep going. You know, I don't want to give up. I'm just going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep trusting. And it's almost like you knew that you were going to be okay, you know, at some point, you know. And
Yeah, yeah, I definitely knew I was going to be okay. Because I just couldn't, for the life of me, I could not like believe the doctors to tell me that I would have this forever, because like I wasn't designed like this. You know what I'm saying? God didn't. It's not like I was born with Crohn's. Like it just happened.
Mhm.
And
Right.
I had to change my mind and just start understanding, like, okay, like what happened? Like what was the breaking point? Like what happened before that led to this? You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
reflecting, I was okay. I've been through a lot, and I had nobody to talk to. I had no way to renew my spirit from it. Before we have any healing in the form of the body, we have to renew our minds. It starts in our spirit, and I feel like our
Mm.
spirit has two. I feel like we have two different brains. Like we have a brain in the spirit, and we have a brain in the flesh. And the brain in the flesh be healed until you start to act the brain in the spirit. Until you heal the brain in the spirit. So yeah, I had, so maybe my spirit was diseased. Maybe I had a disease in my spirit, and that's why I translated to my flesh, because I had a lot of unforgiveness. And people need to really understand, like when you're holding unforgiveness, you really are holding chains within your body. Like our mind is like a
Mhm.
garden. If you plant those things inside of you, it's gonna grow and it will cripple
Mm.
you. So until I started working on my garden, right, and I started changing that up with the word of God, worshiping, you know, singing worship music, and just staying away from things that are toxic like social media. You know, it's hard. It was really really hard. But it's also
Mhm.
about, you can still on social media and have a healthy social media life. You just have to pay attention to what you're subscribed to. But
Mm.
yeah, I had to renew my mind a lot for that to activate my spirit. Because once I believed it in my spirit, like I can get through this, that's when it actually started to happen.
Mm. I love that perspective, man. That's super powerful. You know, once you let go and actually forgive, because if you have that unforgiveness inside you, it does build chains. It builds like that heavy wall, you know, almost like that venom, that poison.
Yeah.
And that will eat away your flesh, man. That will eat away your spirit.
Right.
And I love the way that you put that into perspective, is that once you forgive of all the things that you have went through, and came across in your life, you have already started the healing process within inside of yourself. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's an incredible perspective. And I think in this world too, like it's as human beings, we go through a lot of challenges, we go through a lot of battles in our life, and sometimes it's hard to forgive. You know, sometimes you go through something in life, and you know, it's that stubbornness, it's that ego, it's that pride that takes over, and you know, we don't
Mhm.
want to forgive. But it's that moment that you do forgive, and you think, you know what, if I let that go and just put love into the air, and yeah, yeah, I'm not happy with what happened, and it's damaged me, but those scars and those wounds, I find, will heal faster because the forgiveness has poured on.
Right. Yeah. You always want to be a visitor of your thoughts, but you never want to be a resident. You know what I'm saying? In those times, because like if I
Mm,
thoughts, like, you know, I was sick and I was feeling the pain, but I didn't stay in it, because if I stayed and focused on that, then it was going to become me. You know what I'm saying? Like where your focus
mm,
goes, your energy flows. So you really have to like really shift your focus. Like really, like life is literally, that's the whole journey of life, bro. Like literally, it's a battle of the mind. Once you're able to
mm-hmm,
once you're able to lock in and focus, like, okay, I'm changing my mind daily and figuring out like how I'm going to create a ritual or whatever people want to call it. But I
mm-hmm,
truly believe in the Bible. That works for me, and I hope it works for you. Try it. But uh,
mm-hmm,
yeah, like you renew your mind daily and have those words, like see what God truly says about you, not what the world says about you. Um, when doctors would tell me, "Oh, you're never going to defeat this disease. This is something you have forever. So let's think about 60 years from now. Like, you're not going to, this medication's not going to work." I'm not hearing none of that. Like, the Bible does not say that. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah,
Yeah. Why let men control your future of health? You know,
right. Like, how are you going to
and
tell?
tell you, yeah. Find that very interesting. And
Yeah,
you see it a lot today, what's going on in our world. We don't need to get into that, but it's right in our face every single day.
yeah.
Um, what was the hardest thing to let go of, to push yourself forward? You know, after the forgiveness you mentioned about forgiving, I'm sure that was really difficult to do in a lot of ways. But was there anything else that was on that same par that you really needed to let go to push yourself forward and start that healing journey and that self, I guess you could say, that self foundation, that self rejuvenation to push forward?
Um, hmm, I don't know. I the hardest thing was just forgiving my mom. To be honest, that was because like she was my home for 9 months at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was tough. With your parents, you have a really deep connection that nobody else can have within the world. So um, I felt like I had to go through a real deep process. Like, there's a spiritual process and there's a flesh process, but I can't understand what this type of process is. But that is what I had to try to get help from. And the only person that can understand that and help me get through it was God. So it was really hard. Like, I think the only thing that I came across was a quote that says, not forgiving somebody is like drinking poison and expecting them to die. And when I
Mm-hmm.
heard that, I was like, okay, I see it now. Like, it makes no sense to hold my anger. It makes no sense to hold unforgiveness, because I'm hurting myself. I'm not hurting them in the long run. So I didn't need
Mm-hmm.
permission. You know what I'm saying? I didn't need permission to become who I needed to be. So yeah. So I think, yeah, if that answers your question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel you. Um, how did you overcome all those battles and tribulations and trials and things that you went through, all those attacks? If you could look back in the past 28 years, what was the main focus, the main healing outlet that you think really boosted you and supported you when it came to overcoming all those things?
Um, I guess writing music. I mean, a lot of different things started happening while I was still sick.
Mm-hmm.
There's like there's a lot of layers to the story. So, um, while I was sick, I had a song called 9 to 9. That was like my first ever Christian hip hop song. And God literally gave it to me. Um, I didn't know why it was called 9 to 9. God just told me just call it 9 to 9. So I just like, all right, 9 to 9, whatever. And so God made provision for the song as it was happening. So I submitted the song to Rapzilla, which is the #1 Christian hip hop blog right now in the world. And it won highest pick of the week. Like the first time I recorded it, I submitted it to them and they won that week. I won. So right now, today, the highest amount of views that it has is about almost 300,000. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so God literally sent these two guys called Shots to Glory Visuals, if they're watching this, from Omaha, Nebraska, and they flew in all the way to New York just to record a music video for free. I didn't pay them
Mm-hmm.
any, and they told me the only reason why they came and did it was because God told them to.
Wow.
So it's like little things like that happen on the journey that just remind me that God is still with me. Um,
Right.
so seeing my music still have an impact while I'm sick, and still seeing that God is sending people out of, like, God knows where. Like, I'm in Brooklyn, Omaha, Nebraska. Like, like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
The fact
I,
that they,
fi- I
what was you gonna say?
I find it amazing that God can do that. He can bring people together in such remarkable ways. And you know, those two guys that came over, like they must have been super inspired and motivated to come all the way that way, man,
That's
and
what I'm saying, and
that's so cool, man.
it's crazy. Yeah. So
They
I'm
can
just gonna,
come this way if they want.
yeah, I'll connect you, bro.
No, I'm just bugging. I'm just bugging.
Yeah.
It's all good. No, you can't anymore, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
We got to do it all virtual now.
Right.
But it's all good, man. It's all good. I love your story, man. It's inspiring. And you have so many different angles of resilience that happen, right? You got these different battles that have happened from the moment you stepped on this earth, and to see you today and see you healthy and see you working on your music and these opportunities that are ahead of you. I just like I feel really motivated, and I feel like, you know, I want to be your supporter, man, and believe in you, and I think you're gonna go far and do great things and help the people in your circle, and, you know, make a big impact in this world. And adding into that, if you can reflect back on everything, all those battles, um, would you do anything differently to overcome it?
No, I've been asked that several times, and I've even thought
Hmm.
about it. I wouldn't honestly, like I honestly would, like, if I had to do life all over again, and just like how Jesus beat the 99 for the one, I would literally
Hmm.
go through the whole Crohn's disease, everything again, uh,
Hmm.
the molestation, the suicide, all that again, just for that 1% of the stories on impact. So, um, yeah,
Wow, man. So thank you for sharing this story. Um, it's very powerful. It's very heavy, but, you know, I think that there's a lot of healing and a lot of love and inspiration and motivation and drive and
yeah,
spiritual connection. And I think people listening in and tuning in, you know, especially our young youth out there who are struggling through, you know, maybe family stuff that's going on right now in the home. And, you know, because at the end of the day, this stuff is always going to go around. You know, the world is, in a way, it's amazing, but there are bad things that happen. And I believe your story, and your message, can really impact and create a resilience for youth and an insight. So if they're ever going through something, you know, they know that someone's went through this and how they can overcome it. What routes they can take. You know, what things can they do? You know, finding different positive channels to release. You know, finding their spirituality and their faith.
yeah.
You know, being grounded. Um, What is Xandre doing today? What are you doing today right now for your for your community, you know, with work going on, with the business and your opportunities? What's your goal and your mission these days, and you know, what are you up to these days?
Yeah, man. So the only thing difference is just I'm healed now. So I still do serving. I still serve in areas that God called me to. Right now, I'm serving under. I don't know if Jamie's watching. Shout out to Jamie Jordan if you're watching, in the whole bricklayers community. She's one of the coaches under Eric Thomas's Extreme Execution program. But yeah, I serve there. I'm helping her with just trying to reach other entrepreneurs who are striving to get to their goals. Helping other people who are just leaving their jobs and trying to figure out how they can just survive on their own and provide for their families independently. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's where it's at. We have to have ownership. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I serve her there, and we're just like making an impact, changing lives every day. Every Friday nights at 8 p.m. So,
Nice.
but yeah, so yeah.
Yo, that's why I got that link that one time.
Okay,
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah.
You're like just send it last minute. I'm definitely down to be part of you know, whatever you send forward.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I support you, you know, and I support your passion and you know, the fact that you have a mission and a drive to help others through your story is something I stand strongly beside. And I always will.
Yeah.
Um, so I have one. I guess I got like another question here.
Okay.
Um, if some youth listening in, you know, into this live stream or in the near future with the recap video, what are some words from your heart that Xandre here can share? You know, maybe some words of wisdom or some inspiration, that maybe someone that's out there right now that's struggling through something that could be very similar to what you went through. What would you tell them if they're listening in?
Um, so I would tell them, I understand what you're going through. I know it's hard right now, and I know for certain it will be okay. Even when it doesn't feel like okay, it's going to be okay. One Bible verse I can give them that I can't remember the exact verse, but I know what it says at least, and it just says, "Joy, weeping may come through the night, but joy comes in the morning." I had to literally tell myself that every single night when I was feeling pain, when I was sleeping on that bed, and I just had to learn how to sleep on my bones. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been there. I understand how hard it is, and if it helps, just know that there's someone out there who's going through a lot worse than you think you're going through right now. And so with all that being said, I am the light at the tunnel, at the end of the tunnel. So in your darkness right now, look at my career, look at what God is doing in real time.
Mhm.
I'm literally sharing the evidence all over my page. You can see all of that. I have the date, the timestamps, all that. I'm trying to be creative and just show it to you. God is real. And there's hope out there. So if you follow me, I'm not the perfect person, but most perfect person, but I try my best to, just be a light at the end of the tunnel. So whatever you're going through, I am the evidence of it. I'm the proof that you can get through it. So yeah, so I'll tell you.
Thank you, Xandre, for sharing that.
Absolutely.
You're an incredible person, man. And if anyone wants to reach out to Xandre, check out his messages, check out his music. You can check him out, Xandre_music. This is his Instagram channel. He also has an incredible website. The link is in his bio. You can check that out. This guy does many different amazing work, many different things through music, graphic design. And if you just want to talk, if you're just a young artist out there and you're struggling right now and you're trying to get your message out, or maybe you want to get your message out and you don't know how, well, Xandre is the guy you want to talk to. Very open-minded, very caring and compassionate man. And I just want to say thank you, Xandre, for sharing your story tonight.
Thank you.
You're an absolute blessing and a miracle. And, I'm very grateful to have you come on this platform, part 2 and share your story. And you know what? I think we had definitely a better part 2 connection. This time around. There was a little bit of glitches here and there, but that's okay. The audio is fine, man. Like, I think it all worked out. It's all clear to me. I think people listening in, they will very, very feel the clearness and the clarity and the resilience that you went through. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Xandre, for taking your time tonight.
Absolutely.
Second time around, man. You're a solid dude. You're a solid brother, man. And I can't wait for more music to come out and potential collaborations with you.
Yes,
and keep things moving, man. So keep making moves, my friend, and keep on staying blessed and strong.
Absolutely. Sure.
Have a good night, everyone. Have a good night, Xandre.
Peace out.